After the great effort of Goku and the others during the tournament, it was time for the final fight, which was nothing more and nothing less than Master Roshi against little Goku. Both were already determined to start the fight, so they were already in combat position. This moment would define who could better handle the concept of Ultra Instinct after their arduous training. As soon as they gave the warning of the beginning of the fight, the two would launch into the attack. Goku would strike the first blows, trying to hit his master, but to his surprise, the latter managed to avoid them with difficulty, proving that he could deal with their attacks. This was impressive to Goku, because he was not sure that at that time, Master Roshi would be able to do something like that. But thanks to that, he would come to understand that he shouldn't underestimate him so much, since after all, he had been able to evade Jiren's attacks during the Tournament of Power, even if it was only for a few seconds. It was clear that Master Roshi should give it his all, as he was aware of Goku's great strength when they were training before the tournament. For that very reason, he would be the next to attack, as he did not plan to stay only on the defensive. He wanted to make sure that his student was capable of surpassing his current level. Goku would manage to avoid Master Roshi's blow in the same way, since it was not for nothing that he had trained the Ultra Instinct since he had arrived on Earth. It was clear that in that instant of the battle, the first one to hit would be the one who would demonstrate a better ability than the other. The following attacks would be quite fast and consecutive, worthy of being admired by the entire audience that surrounded them in the tournament. As the minutes passed, the blows only became stronger, releasing a strong air pressure around them, which was only fueling the excitement of the fight. So much so that the spectators were shouting for them to continue. Goku's blows would begin to graze Master Roshi more and more, as his body could barely cope with the great burden of moving like that, just as it had happened originally. His advanced age limited him, so he could no longer avoid the attacks with such precision. The one who had the advantage was Goku, since during all the time he had trained together with his teammates, his body had become accustomed to such movements, which is why he was just a few steps away from mastering the Ultra Instinct. As the fight had reached its most important point, and Master Roshi could no longer keep up the pace, Goku decided to end the fight in a rather peculiar way. In order to honor his master, who had helped to improve the level of his doctrine, in just an instant, the battlefield would completely rumble, as Goku had assessed the incomplete form of the Ultra Instinct. And once he had done that, he would quickly appear behind Master Roshi, being so fast that no one in the place would be able to perceive him. But despite that fact, in a way, Master Roshi had already sensed that the fight would end in that moment, so he just smiled knowing that his student had managed to defeat him. Good job, Goku! With this fight you have fulfilled my role as master, since you have surpassed me! That was Master Roshi's last thought before receiving Goku's attack. A few moments after that, Goku would give Master Roshi a simple blow, which would only take him out of the combat arena, since he didn't want to hurt the person who had helped him progress. That way, Master Roshi would be disqualified, so Goku would be the winner of the tournament. In a way, it was strange for him, because when he was little, he had never won a tournament, so in a way, he was excited. After that, Goku would go over to thank Master Roshi, since he had been the one who had taken charge of helping him improve his skills. I owe it all to you, Master. I hope to continue counting on you for training. Because Master Roshi was still disguised as Jackie Chun, he was a little surprised to notice that Goku already knew his identity, but he would accept his words anyway, since there was no point in continuing to pretend with him. I really didn't know if I could teach you anything else at this point, but of course, you can count on me. Once the tournament was over, everyone would go their separate ways again, as this was just the beginning. Yamcha would keep his promise to be with Bulma after he had finished his training with Master Roshi, although that didn't mean he wouldn't train again. But for now, he wanted to fulfill what he had said. Krillin would stay with Master Roshi to continue training with him. On the other hand, Goku would set out again on his journey to collect the spheres, as he knew it was necessary to continue getting to know those who would be his future companions. His journey would mostly be the same as in the original story, overcoming all challenges and adversities in a simpler way thanks to his great strength. He would meet again some of those he already knew, such as Chi-Chi and the Pilaf group, but nothing that represented a problem for him. even when he encountered the Red Patrol. Goku would defeat all of their subordinates without any problems, among which General Blue and Tao Pai Pai himself were the most important ones. While collecting the spheres, he had also run into friends like Android 8, as well as Upa and his father, who had not died this time because of Goku's intervention. And finally, he would see the great Master Kaden again. In fact, when he met him, he would go through his little test for holy water again in less than an instant, leaving Master Kaden amazed with his great skill. The quest for the spheres was also nearing completion, as he had collected 6 of them and only had 1 more to go. For this, he would meet with Bulma and the rest of his companions in order to search for the last sphere. His next destination would be with the witch Uranai Baba, who would be the next acquaintance with whom Goku would meet again. They would participate in a small confrontation against the 5 fighters of Uranai Baba to obtain the location of the last sphere. This would be a good moment to see how far Yamcha and Krillin, who had been training while Goku was collecting the spheres, had progressed. Surprisingly, they would manage to defeat their opponents with ease, as they had greater strength than in the original story. Thus, the last of the 5 fights would be for Goku, who was ready for what was to come. The last fighter would be someone who was masked, but that everyone already knew and had gone to that place to see how little Goku had progressed. Even though Goku already knew that it was his grandfather, Gohan, he would not refuse to have a fight with him since he wanted to show him what he was capable of. They would both get into a fighting stance, only to then begin the fight with an exchange of blows. Goku would surprise him with his incredible handling of Ultra Instinct, avoiding his attack without even having to think about it. That had really taken his grandfather by surprise, as it was very evident that Goku had improved quite a bit since the last time he had trained with him. No matter how hard he tried to land an attack, he ended up avoiding them with his great skill. This only made him feel proud of Goku, as he'd like to see that he had become stronger than before. "I see with surprise that you have improved quite a bit. I knew you would make it, boy." Because Grandfather Gohan had already proven what he wanted, he didn't need to continue the fight, as it was more than clear to him that Goku had become stronger on his own. For that very reason, he would remove his mask to show his true identity to Goku and the others. For the rest, it was a surprise, as they had no idea that this was the great Gohan, Master Roshi's first disciple. Although from Goku's expression, Grandpa Gohan knew perfectly well that he had already realized who he really was from the beginning. "You already knew, didn't you?" "Of course I did, but I wanted to show you what I learned thanks to Master Roshi. It's good to see you again." Once the fight was over, Goku didn't hesitate to hug his grandfather, since he was glad that he had gone to that place to make sure that he was okay. More than anything, he was glad to show him what he had learned, since in the original story, he was never able to show him, due to the fact that he had died because of him. For that very reason, he would get a little emotional, so his grandfather would only comfort him a little when he saw his reaction. After that, Goku would introduce him to his companions who were in the place, including Master Roshi, whom he would thank for having trained his beloved grandson just as he had trained him in the past. Now that the fighting was over, it was time to continue their journey, so Goku would say goodbye to his grandfather Gohan, who would be waiting for him in the mountains for when Goku decided to return. Uranai Baba had given them the location of the last sphere, so they would all go in search of it to conclude their journey once and for all. They would run into Pilaf's gang again, but as usual, Goku would finish them off without a problem. Since Upa's father had not died in this story, there was no need to make a wish to the spheres, so Bulma would take care of keeping them in case they needed them. Now, things would get more interesting, since the next thing that awaited Goku was the next martial arts tournament in 3 more years. So, he would have to train even more for that moment. But even more importantly, he had to be sure that his teammates would manage to train properly, so he would go back to them so that they would become stronger together with him. Thus, 3 years would pass until the next martial arts tournament, and it would be a few years where Goku continued to train the total mastery of the Ultra Instinct. In addition to further strengthening Krillin and Yamcha with Master Roshi, who was still willing to give all of himself to train with the students since he did not want to be left behind. When they were finally at the tournament site, they would run into their next teammates, Tenshinhan and Chaos, who were disciples of Master Suru. He would be quite arrogant and confident in front of the others, just like the first time they had met. Although this time things would be different, since it would not be so easy for him to defeat Goku and the others after the arduous training they had done for so long. But for now, Goku would not talk to Tenshinhan, since everything would be decided in the following battles of this tournament, where they would become allies again.